In this video, I'm going to show how to create a compression, a horizontal compression or stretch, and add that into your picture. I just want to briefly recap. If you watched my last video, you saw that I was adding a vertical stretch and compression so that when A gets larger, the whole picture will stretch away from, in this case, the x-axis. And as A gets smaller, it compresses towards the x-axis. And so what we want with B is similar behavior, only we want the behavior to be with respect to the y-axis. So I've got my sine function here just so that we can see what this looks like. So as B gets larger, let's see what happens with our function. As B gets larger, we see compression towards the y-axis. Now note that that is not the same thing, right? As A got larger, we didn't see a compression, we saw a stretch. So as B gets larger, what we expect is a compression towards the y-axis. And as B gets smaller, we want to see a stretch away from the y-axis. And again, I'm looking at the fixed point. In this case, this is 0, 0. And I can see that that point right there where it intersects the y-axis is not moving. Right, so I've recreated a little piece of the graph here, this part, and I've removed the restriction so we can see the function. And now with the sine function, you can see I put b inside the function, so inside where the x is. And so if I did something very similar with the linear function, I'd put a b right here. Okay, so let's just see. So we see, of course, right, if we think about what's happening here, it's changing the slope. So visually, we're kind of seeing it's getting compressed towards. What happens if we put the window back in? So all I've done so far is just added that B there. So let's just see what happens if I put the window back in. All right, so what I'm seeing when I look at this is that this piece of the function appears to be moving up and down. And really what's happening is that I've got my window is static. It's a static window that's set by these endpoints. And so when I move and change the function, it's only showing me whatever piece is in that window. So if I want to see this thing compress, like visually compress towards the y-axis, I'm going to need to incorporate this B into the window. So let me try putting the B right there. Right, so I haven't done anything other than put the B here. It's sort of mirroring exactly what I have over here. And let's see what that does. All right, so that looks like it's visually, it's compressing the way we want it to compress. Now, one thing to note, if this restriction were in terms of y, so this restriction is in terms of x, if this restriction were in terms of y, then we probably wouldn't have had to add in anything with B. But if we were messing with A, we probably would have had to add in something with the restriction with A. So those vertical stretches with A, if the window is defined in terms of Y, you're going to have to do something. The horizontal stretches compressions in terms of B, if the window is defined in terms of X, you're going to have to do something. So I'm going to add these all in and then maybe make one final video just showing a few things.